More than 2,000 years ago, in the city of Alexandria, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world, a woman was born who would become one of the most famous figures in history. Her name was Cleopatra. She was not simply a beautiful queen, as legends often describe, but an intelligent ruler and a brilliant political leader who spoke several languages and understood the power struggles of her time. Cleopatra was born into the Ptolemaic dynasty, the royal family that ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. Although the dynasty was of Greek origin, Cleopatra was different from many of her ancestors. She was the first ruler of her family to learn the Egyptian language and to connect deeply with the culture and people of Egypt. But her path to the throne was far from easy. After the death of her father, King Ptolemy XII, a dangerous struggle for power began between Cleopatra and her younger brother, who was supposed to rule beside her. Soon, the conflict inside the palace turned into a real political battle, and Cleopatra was forced into exile outside Alexandria. At that moment, it seemed that her dream of ruling Egypt had come to an end. But Cleopatra was not ready to give up. Around the same time, a powerful Roman leader arrived in Egypt. His name was Julius Caesar. This meeting would change the history of Egypt and perhaps the history of the world. Ancient sources tell a bold story that became one of the most famous moments in history. Cleopatra secretly entered Caesar's palace, hidden inside a carpet that was delivered to his chambers. When they finally met, Caesar quickly realized that he was facing an extraordinary woman. She was intelligent, courageous, and incredibly ambitious. Caesar chose to support Cleopatra, and soon war erupted in the streets of Alexandria between her supporters and her enemies. After intense battles, Cleopatra emerged victorious. She returned to the throne as Queen of Egypt. Her relationship with Caesar soon became more than just a political alliance. Egypt became one of Rome's most important allies. Cleopatra even traveled to Rome, where her presence fascinated the people of the powerful city. But this alliance would not last. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated in the Roman Senate in one of the most famous political murders in history. Suddenly, Cleopatra lost her most powerful ally. She returned to Egypt, but the world around her was changing rapidly. New conflicts were beginning inside Rome between leaders fighting to control the empire. Among those leaders was a man who would soon become Cleopatra's new partner in power. His name was Mark Antony. Their meeting was legendary. Cleopatra arrived on a magnificent golden barge sailing along the Nile. This encounter marked the beginning of one of the most famous love stories in history. But their relationship was not only romance, it was also a powerful political alliance. Together, Antony and Cleopatra tried to build a force strong enough to challenge their enemies in Rome. However, another man was watching carefully from the other side. His name was Octavian, and he was determined to destroy their alliance. Tensions between the two sides continued to rise until political rivalry turned into open war. In 31 BC, one of the most important battles in Mediterranean history took place, the Battle of Actium. The fleets of Antony and Cleopatra faced the forces of Octavian in a massive naval confrontation. But the battle did not unfold as the queen had hoped. The forces of Antony and Cleopatra were defeated. After the loss, the end of Cleopatra's rule was approaching. Antony and Cleopatra returned to Egypt, while Octavian's armies advanced toward Alexandria. When Roman forces finally reached the city, resistance collapsed. According to historical accounts, Mark Antony, believing that Cleopatra had died, ended his own life. Cleopatra now understood that her defeat was inevitable. Octavian planned to take her to Rome as a prisoner and display her in a triumphal parade. But the Egyptian queen refused to become part of such a spectacle. According to the most famous story, Cleopatra chose to end her own life using a poisonous snake. With her death, the Ptolemaic dynasty came to an end. Egypt officially became a province of the Roman Empire. Yet even after more than 2,000 years, the story of Cleopatra still fascinates the world. Was she simply a beautiful queen or a brilliant ruler trying to protect Egypt's independence in a world ruled by empires? Perhaps we will never know the full answer, but one thing is certain. The the name Cleopatra will forever remain part of one of history's greatest stories.